Here with head coach Michael Gross after the Warhawks women's team makes history today at the North Georgia Technical College Invitational. Coach, had to be proud with the ladies' efforts today, coming in first in a field.
I did. It was kind of a purposed race. Last week we started out the season at Jack State D1 program, all D1 schools. Was proud of the fact that they still finished 4th out of 5 schools last week. We beat one D1 school. And then I knew that this week was purpose in the fact that we would be back in our own element of kind of NAIA schools. And so with them being able to come in, tough day, still kind of hot conditions. It was in the 80s and the humidity was up a little bit, but I think they all did well and excelled. Had a couple of, one of the freshmen step up and finished in the top 5 also and picked up a medal along with Charlie and Holly Ann. So I think they did a good job, and I think it's going to fuel them for next week. We're going to be back basically in the same region with some other added NAIA teams, still kind of in our own domain. So we should be able to put on a good race next week too, as far as the women are concerned.
Coach, talk a little bit about the guys. They also had a good showing, finished second overall.
They did. We were a little behind the 8 ball today. Andrew Russell obviously wasn't able to come with us. He had an academic that he needed to stick with today, and he had a field trip for points, and so he couldn't come with us. 6 points separated us from second to first, and when you lose your number 2 and you leave your number 2 out, you know, it's one of those things where you know that that's probably the 6 points that we could have picked up. But I really like the way that my freshmen, a couple of freshmen, Chris and Anthony and Dozier, are stepping up. Dozier had a little setback today and I think he got a little overheated and had the DNF, but that's a good learning tool for him. Next week's going to be in the early morning, so we're looking forward to a cooler run. And I think they're going to be able to step up next week and hopefully at least target North Georgia, who beat them today, and we're going to see them again in the same race next week. So maybe with a little bit more under the belt and Andrew being back next week, we should be able to step up and get them next week.
Coach, just quickly talk about what this means for the season going forward, now that your teams know that they can compete against teams that they're going to see.
Well, we talked about that early in the season. I told them, I said, we have eight meets this year. I said 4 of them are going to be hard meets. 4 of them, one was a D1. We know that Gulf South is put on by a D2 school, West Florida. We know that Sand Shark is the end of the season where usually anywhere from 20 to 25 NAIA schools come in, and some of the top NAIA schools come in as that last season tune-up going into it. So I told them, and then we're going to UT Chattanooga, which is D1, and I purposely told them, I said, look, I've got 4 races that are hard that you're probably not going to be favored in, and then I got 4 races on the schedule where you should be up front pushing the effort a little bit, at least placing. And the purpose was there to do that, so that I wanted them to know that if they go out and do their best, that they can run with some of these bigger schools, and if they go out and run their best, they can beat some of the schools that we are in the same competition with, in the same level. And so far, again, with the ladies, taking 4 out of 5 last week, beating a D1 program, this week coming in here, and even though it's a small race, they took first place and took care of business. So we're going to be excited to see what happens next week. Then we'll take a week off before we go to Gulf South, and then depending on who's coming for Gulf South, we'll be able to make evaluations on how I think the 2 teams will do there.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time and congratulations on a successful meet.
Hey, thank you very much.